I'm a bit late to the charts. I was not looking at the time. Was doing some other stuff, but we're here. Thank you. It was. Well, I'll just talk about it later. I know it's a mess right now. So, so looking at the weekly chart, our target was the previous week's high yesterday. So that's a bit interesting. I'm just going to drop down to the daily chart. There's really is nothing so much interesting on the weekly, but yesterday's target, the daily inversion fair value gap low, we have reached that yesterday. We exactly reached into what I marked out as a wrong liquidity. So that is delivered. So if the market maker sell model was to continue, it could continue from there. Mm, the daily chart, what else do we have? There really is nothing else on the daily chart for me. Just going to the let me see with ES. What's going on with ES? Okay, ES created a new all-time high yesterday. So dropping down to the 4-hour chart. Okay, what do you have on the 4-hour chart? There's this new opening gap down here. That is interesting, but there's nothing else on the 4-hour chart for me again. I'm just going back to the for 1-hour chart, and usually things start to clear up once I get to the hourly chart. Okay, now dropping down into the hourly chart, we've got this range from this low to this high. We're already in discount. What does that mean? This is a market structure 50 on the lower time frames. We want to look we want to try to find SMT within this range. In this leg, where is the SMT? If we have one, I will use that to create my narrative for the AM session. And discount, we haven't closed above this. Okay. So I'm just going to drop down into the 15-minute chart now. Okay. So on the 15-minute chart, things look way much more clear and spiced up. Okay. We just clearly reached into discount at 5 o'clock down here. We had this shift in here. So within this high to this low, was there any sort of SMT? So we can use that as a protected level if we have any. Nothing. This high. There's this high, there's this high, there's this high, there's this high. Dropping down here, there's this high. Those markets have traded above that too. No SMTs, okay. Interesting. Uh, this inversion in here, I'm just going to keep that in mind. I'm going to mark it out. Premium is right in here. Okay, I'm just going to drop down to the 5-minute chart. So when we don't have a lot of stuff to work on the 15, on the hourly, on the daily chart, when we don't have a lot of stuff to work with, the cycles clear up the chaos. That's why they're very useful. So now marking out the cycles. The news that's coming. News. I don't really wait. I'm gonna give that a check, but I'm not so very interested on the news. I don't have predictions for it. I usually just work within the narrative that has been created 15 minutes before the news comes out. But let's see. Wait, I'm gonna go through that as well. Okay, looking at the previous cycles, we had another shift down here. Price came really close to this new week opening gap down here, but we didn't really actually reach down into it. So what does that mean? This low is a very interesting low. It could get run, but right now I want to you guys see this wick in here, this little wick, this wick. I'm going to drop down in there and look for an inversion on the 1-minute chart. But before I do that, I want to see after creating this low, did we had any SMT with ES? No, we didn't. Up here, we have nothing again. This line in here, that is event horizon. That's the event horizon between this new opening gap and this one down here. So we reached up into it. So we could keep going lower and reach down to this new opening gap. That is very likely, but not holding any ideas right now. Uh, okay. So I'm just going to drop down to 1 minute. Ooh. Okay, sorry. Sorry for making that. I just dropped down to the 1 minute chart and I saw how price was just moving sideways since 8:30. This is just nasty price action. What is that? That is accumulation. And when I look at accumulations like that, they get me up. They give me the buzz. They give me the chills because I know something is getting engineered in between the highs and the lows of those accumulations. Very interesting fair value gap here. Why? Because it was created at 8:30. Whenever we have news at 8:30 and we have gaps, for example, even let's say this was an 8:30 gap. Let's say this was an 8:30 gap. Even though all this stuff happened, I would have brought it up in time if you're working around it. I would have done that. So 8:30 gaps, if you're working around them, especially when there's an 8:30 news, they're very interesting levels to me. So again, no major SMTs on the lower time frames, but on the higher time frames, of course, ES is making a new all-time high, while NQ is still within the range. Okay, previous cycle low down here. Oh, bottom red. We have already traded above the previous cycle high right there. That's an 8:30 fair value gap, so it's interesting. I actually don't need to mark it out. I can see it right now, to be honest. I don't need to mark it out. But if we trade below it and we close below it, that's an 8:30 fair value gap. So that could be the inversion that easily sends us down into this low. Okay, we've got this SMT in here. Down here. So just looking at this. I won't buy, I won't sell right now. I'm just going to wait. I'm just waiting for price to clear up. But right down here we have that an SMT. So if we were a bit more deeper into the session, for example, if you opened up, took these highs first, then took those lows and traded up and closed above this fair value gap in here, when price reached back into it, I would have bought right there. But because we didn't take this high before we took this low, I'm not really so much interested in taking longs from there. I'm not very interested. Instead, if it does that, I'll just wait for 9:45 and look for a long. Mm, okay. Is the mic good? Usually when I have the headphones on, I have the headphones on because I need to keep my hair together. When I have it usually echoes. There's some type of problem usually occurs. What happened to your hair, bro? I usually have got a hat and my head is braided. It's I'm gonna get it done today, so I had to wash it and everything, so I cannot even wear a hat right now. Looks like it grew within a day, right? Funny business here. Okay, this low. The previous cycle low. That's okay. First presentation could be created right in here, possibly. We just run through it. Okay, news. For news, let me see. We looked at that yesterday, but okay, at 10 o'clock, I got a medium impact news. That's nice. That should give us usable volatility, type of volatility that we could manage within. The mic's not echoing, right? Wait, I can check. Wait. Oh, I can't. I can't because the headphone is off. If someone can tell me, that would be great. If the mic is echoing or not. It's right here. But when I have the headset on, it usually interferes with the connection. Okay, now what I'm interested in with is, do we take this low? And after, if we take this low, after we take that low, how do we react to taking this low? Not really so much interested in anything right now. I'm just waiting to get things for things to get clearer. We've been just jigsawing back and forth, but we've been steadily going lower. Completely balanced price range in here. Usually, when we are trying to manipulate, we usually move fast. That is little signature we get. If price when price moves real fast, it usually is trying to manipulate some type of liquidity. Okay, both markets, both ES and NQ, have traded below this low, so no major SMTs on the lower time frames. Again, so no, in the longer time frame, for a like a weekly drawn liquidity, like a daily drawn liquidity, this is very significant. Unless price actually closes above this inversion fair value gap, we are going to stay in most likely going to stay in a bearish type of market structure, in a market maker sell model. Because after taking that low, we needed price should have showed us speed and velocity very easily disrespect this inversion fair value gap from the daily chart and kept on moving higher to this high. But it didn't do that. The fact that we reached there and the whole day we have been going lower today shows us that this could possibly be a longer term market maker sell model, and we just reached into premium into the inversion, and we could just keep moving lower towards even this relative equal lows down here on the daily chart. That could happen. Oh, okay, we took that low. Interesting. No, no. What does that mean? The previous cycle slow, how's being taken? We could keep going down into the new week opening gap down here, or we could shift. What does price want to do? Now, since we took this low, and it is not yet 9:45, I'm looking for shorts right now. 9:45, do we get a bearish PD array to keep going lower? Do we get that? If we get that, I'll be trying to get a short and get a continuation lower. Sorry about my hair though. Okay, that week. I'm right now. I'm just looking at this wick in here, this huge wick, and we close below it. That is the first sign. Yep, we're expanding below it actually. Okay, that's the first time that we want to keep moving lower. The next, the next, the next algorithmic signature I'm looking forward to is how are we going to use this new opening gap? Do we reach into it, bounce, use it, and just bounce and start moving higher towards this buy side? Or is it going to be smooth move lower through it, return back into like the consequent encroachment of it, and keep moving lower, using it as resistance? Hmm, interesting. Just like I said yesterday, when we are working with new week opening gaps and PD arrays created around, for example, a fair value gap, an order block, or anything created around fair value gaps, they it's not technically they are low probability, but what happens is they're not going to be as perfect as they normally would because there's a new week opening gap. Instead, price would tend to reach more into the new week opening gap rather than the fair value gap or the order block or any other type of video array. Notice since open, we have not been able to create a first presentation. Possibly we are about to have one right here. Presentation, that's nice. That's nice to have. Okay, okay. Hmm. Down here is the previous day's AM session low. Previous day AM low. Oh, okay, so looking at it right now. Right now, just looking at the 5 minute market structure in here. If this is a market maker sell model, and if we're going to need most likely if we're going to need what's up, bro? Hope you're having a great day. If you're going to need to reach back and create the secondary distribution of a market maker sell model, we most likely are going to start doing that here. Most likely we're going to start doing that here if that's to happen because we have reached into deep discount from the 15-minute chart. This low that was created from the uh, 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 it was I think Nvidia's earning. Yeah, deep discount in there, really nice. Cleaned out the lows, reached into what a new week opening gap. How does it wants to keep going now? Very interesting. Do we inverse this? Yep, we just did. Okay. Okay. 9:45. I wish to get a bear shadow block at 9:45. If I can get that, I would short that. And I aim for the previous day's AM low down here. The previous base low is here. Is it? If it was any other day right now, if it was any other day and we just actually did that, we just closed above the first presentation and then we trade just like that, I would have put a limit order right there, and tried to be in a short continuation lower. But right now, right below us, there's the first present, I mean, a new opening gap. So what does that mean? price could just be trying to reach down here so that it can keep moving higher. So I need to protect myself. Uh, that disqualifies the trade idea. That weakens the power or the strengths that this price presentation would have for a short. Okay, down here we've got a huge SMT again, but that does not mean anything by itself. We need to see some shenanigans being pulled off. Okay, 944. Cool. Moving fast. It's just expanding and expanding. It's not giving us any chance to get in or create PD arrays right now. We're just gonna sit on our hands and wait for a usable type of range to be created. I can't do anything else otherwise. So since this is just going to be closing like this as a huge red candle, I need to get a fair value gap. If I can get that, I'll try to get in at the low of the new week opening gap in here. If I can get a fair value gap in here. Otherwise, this just expanded a lot. What? Oh my god. That was just very snappy. It just snapped lower. It could be tricky, it could be high risk, but as long as I get a fair value gap, I'll try to use the low of the new week opening gap to get into a short. Even though we took the previous day's AM low and so on, that's not going to disqualify the trade idea. Even though the trade is high risk. Okay, 58.3, 500. So should be right there. 582. 582. So should be down there. Okay. So if price could right now before 950, I eh, before 950, if it can go some up here, I'll try to do something like this. I'll try to do something like that. If it can do that before 950. Actually, just not the fact, just not actually before 950. If it especially doesn't take the previous daily low, the previous day's low, I will be sticking to this idea up here. But if it takes that low and after 950, if it starts shifting and tries to start going higher, I don't want to be in getting in right there. Instead, I would want to wait and see. So, what would disqualify this trade idea? Why, when would I put out this? When would I not want to get in here? If we take this low after 950. Okay, should do it here. That's like the same thing that I said yesterday. That's like a macro sweep. Okay, straight into it. 945. I mean 949. That means I really don't want to be getting in here because that shift that starts at 950 from now, so I won't be getting in right there. Even if it comes back, I would rather wait for 10 o'clock. So, uh, right now, because this low was taken, the previous daily low, and even if we start retracing, that could be a shift. Now, there you go. That completely disqualifies the idea of taking the short from there for me because that could be a market structure shift. After taking this low, if we start going higher, that could be a market structure shift. So I don't want to be getting in. I'm just going to wait for 10 o'clock. Okay. There's this new week opening gap down here that ends. We're expanding a lot here. Let's see. In the weekly chart, I was going to look for some sort of a TGIF setup, but the week it's a very weaky type of week. Both sides we traded higher so much, we traded lower so much, and we're about to have a small body type of day, especially after getting consecutive huge body closes throughout the past weeks. It's expected to have a small body. Okay, let's just drop down to 1 minute and let's observe. We're observers right now. There you go. This could be a possible inversion for value gap, but it could also be inversed again and again, and that would show us that price wants to attack this low. If you move above it, close above it, and then again trade below it and close below it, that would give us room to keep moving lower. Or that would be the telltale sign that price is just on a retracement to keep moving lower. I expected to get inversed first, but I'm not sure how it wants to use it after that. By the way, even though I said I don't want to get in here and I took out my limit order, it still could reach in there and keep going lower. It nothing is promised. Nothing is promised. It could just right there reach up into this new company gap and start moving lower. And could have been a profitable trade. But most of the time it's less likely to do that. Most of the time shifts happen just like this. So I'd rather just wait. There is a much more easier trade for me to take than this. There is a much more lower risk trade for me to take than taking a short from this new opening gap. that low, that low is again a very easy target. It's just gonna get run through. Looks like it. Okay. It still would have not given us our entry right here. I need to enter up here because my stop loss would be still certain handles, and taking in a certain handle stop loss from there is not reasonable. It's just not reasonable for my model. Because the thing is, when I get into a trade, the stop loss should the only thing it should cover is the PDR rate that I'm getting in itself. For example, if I'm using a fair value gap, my stop loss should be above it. I don't care about any other PDR rate. Uh, if I'm using an order block, my stop loss should be above the order block. So that's why my entry changed it changed a bit from entry to entry because it depends on how huge and how big of a range the 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 candle that I'm trying to get in is or has. We run this low, and what did we do? We run down into this new week opening up high. Okay, I'm keeping that in mind again. Next target could be this low down here, which is the low from August 27th. August 27th. Now the kid that was unprofitable, the kid that blew accounts left and right, the kid that was emotionally charged towards his trades would have been so frustrated seeing this move lower. Since open, we have just been one-sided, and price has been just moving lower and lower and lower and lower. Not so much retracement. The kid that used to be very emotionally charged would have seen this move going lower and would have thought to himself, I could have gotten in almost anywhere. I could have just marketed a sell order at any price point and it would have been a profitable trade. That's exactly how I would have think about it. And I would have charged so much negative thoughts into my head just saying, you could have done this. You could have just gotten in at some random point and made some money and got out and do some other things. But I don't feel that anymore. It's been a while. I don't get afraid. I don't get FOMO. I don't you can hear it in my voice. The hurt palpitations, they would have been very obvious when you see price moves like this and you try to chase them and get in. But I don't feel that anymore because all I care about getting into the session is I'm looking for my model. Does it occur? Is it going to happen? I know it's going to happen in one of the next 15 minutes. I mean, the next 30 minutes. In one of the 15-minute opens. So there's really nothing for me to worry about, care about, or be afraid about because I got in, I sat in this chair. I came in looking into the markets, looking for a model, but nothing else. Okay, now we see that. 10 o'clock, we just opened up, and we have got this, this, I don't know what they even call it, just a candle. So we've got wicks on both sides, and it was created now 10 o'clock, and it went below this low. It was traded at the high of the new week opening gap. So what does that mean? It could be a high risk trade. Price could my entry would be right there. My stop loss would be at the top. So if I get an entry here, it could be high risk. Why? Because price could just trade back, reach into the new week opening gap, use it as a bounce pad, and keep moving higher. Why? Because the low was created at mm, okay, I'm not going to use this as a bear short block. Instead, what I'm going to do is if you can come lower and close below this, I'll use that as a sell. If you can come lower and close below this. Unless and otherwise, I'm not going to get in because we inversed it. I will say G. If you come lower now, try to close below it. I'm going to use that to get in. Stop loss will be up here, and I'm going to look at continuation to attack this sell side. Otherwise, I can't get in. Let's sell limits. Okay, I need to see this close below that. As soon as it does, I will put my limit order right at the low. It oh, it got me in. It didn't. I was just waiting. Okay, I can wait for a couple more seconds and see how this candle tries to close because I thought I saw this close and it failed me because if I try to close it now, it's already in drawdown. It's most likely will stop me out because I thought it closed when it just did that, and I just left my limit order right there. It's most likely it's going to stop me out because I should have seen this close below that first because before I got in. If this candle doesn't close below that, I will. Nice, it just did so. Now the trade is qualified. If this candle didn't had closed below that, I would have just closed the trade. Let me share my screen now. So there you go. That is the trade. That in using the low of the inversion, and I'm looking for a trade right below this candle's low. Uh, so the short would be right there. Getting right there. Looking for 20 something handles. Stop loss is right there. So that's what I'm looking for. And we're done for the day. That was pretty fast. It took literally 1 minute. So I'm done for the day. I'm done for the week. Really nice week. We had one losing day throughout the week. I hope that was copy traded. Yep, it was copy traded again across three accounts. Now tell me who does it better. Tell me who does it better. So $500, $500, and $500 across three accounts. That ends the week. That ends the day. We had a really, really solid week. One losing day, four, four winning days. That was great. We'll be back on Monday. No, Monday is a bank holiday. So we'll be back on, we'll be back on Tuesday. Really solid week. Easy trade. Very, very simple. I was just like I was saying, if this candle had not closed below that, I saw that it was moving fast enough. That's why I left it. It was in drawdown, so I didn't want to touch it. So it's reached back. It closed below what I was waiting for it to close below. I immediately so left the trade to go on because I would have gotten in anyways. It took seconds to reach to my profit target. I've traded that across three accounts, 500, 500, 500, 1,500 across them. So that ends the day and the week for me. Really nice week, really solid one. If you guys have any question that you want to ask me, good. I can do that. Uh, so yeah, pretty nice. Any questions? Yesterday, wait, there was someone that sent me, and so for the new people here, here is my IG. Send me Send me a chat there if you guys want to talk, if you guys want to ask me anything or stuff. Yes. Here is my IG on the chat. If you guys want to ask me anything or chat, send me a text there, give me a follow. And like the video if you like it. And Tadios, he sent me a message yesterday, and I told him that I'm going to go through it here. So since we have finished trading, I can do that. Get that? What's up, bro? Okay. Tadios, where is it? Thanks, Big Mod. How did the week go? Yesterday I didn't ask you. I should. How did it go? Your trading, your yesterday's trading. Yo, Tadios, if you are here, is it okay if I use a screenshot of didn't close OBS, right? If is it okay if I use a screenshot of the message that you sent me yesterday? Wait, I can cut it, no problem. Okay, if you guys are interested in this, you guys can stay, but we won't be taking any trades anymore. The day has ended. That's it. The week has ended. We'll be back on Tuesday. Oh, okay. This is what bro had in mind. So I trade mechanical model tested for months. Worked like perfect, but I like the execution, the main part, of course. I have confidence in it. The problem is that it happens 1 to 2 times a week. Uh, it tests my patience so much. The worst part is the setup can happen at any of the five macros. By the five macros, I think he means uh, starting from the AM session, starting from the 950 macro to the last hour macro. Oh, okay, that's good. You are executing within the mold. That's all that matters. Stopping and being patient with it. That's all that matters, bro. GG's. GG's. Okay. I think five of the macros, which makes me slave to the charts. Okay, we're gonna keep that in mind. All week, because I don't know which day, which macro, which day, and which macro it will form. Using the model, I made good size payout. Okay. I used to trade discretionary. Okay, what's that? I've heard about it, but I don't know. I don't know. But I'm less confident in that, and advice for me. Okay. So the problems here are being a slave to the charts, being there for five macros every single day throughout the week, looking for two, 1 to 2 setups every single week. That is difficult. Most likely, if he is using the macros, he's executing on the 1 minute time frame. So let's just keep that in mind. Uh, he should be there throughout the AM and the PM session. And the main part, the model actually works. They've got payouts with it. So the model works, but it's too time consuming, it's draining. Of course, any of us when we started trading, the main idea was to be both financially to have both our financial and time freedom. But paying with time is not worth it because, for example, look at how I do it. I don't look at the charts before 9:30. Of course, 5 minutes before I sit on the charts, but I sit here for about an hour maximum. If I usually I finish within 15 minutes if I get the model at 9:45. So what I would say is, if you're feeling like you're being a slave to the charts because you're sitting there and you don't like it, but it works, the better thing to do is to tinker with the model, to work around the model, to change some stuff. But that is messy. That's messy. I know, because now you've got two ways you could take this. One, you could keep trading the way you're trading right now for the coming months, but that will absolutely burn you out. You would get impatient. Uh, you, Trading would be more of a 9 to 5 than than any other job, than any other job. And here you are consistently putting money on risk. So if you don't change something now, it is almost it's almost impossible that at some point you're going to start breaking your rules. If you did a live show of your entry model, bro. I did. Oh, you mean the model? The entry? I As soon as I got in, I shared the screen. But sure, you mean the model, right? So unless you change something now, in the long term, you're gonna get more impatient. You're gonna get more. You're gonna get. You're gonna basically start hating trading, because it's just playing with your time and playing with your head. So, but the model works. That's the caveat here. Because the model works, it's hard to change it, because having something that works and using it in trading, that is the difficult part. You've got you've gotten through the difficult part, creating a model that works and using it and making live money with it. You're able to do that part. But because it's not going to be sustainable, you're going to need to change something. So the better thing to do would be, now for what I would have done in that situation would be, okay, within the macros, something happens across. You have got your model. If I had known it better about your something more about your model, it would have been great. But since even my model is heavily influenced by the macros, what I would say is the macros are consistent in their nature. They don't change a lot. They don't do a lot, right? Don't do a lot. I mean, there are just specific. So here, we took this low in this range lower, right? So in this move lower, we took this low. What would the macro do? Would it want to take that low and keep going lower, or would it take that low and shift? It's There really are nothing, no more, no more possibilities than that. The macro would take this low and keep going lower, or it would take this low and shift. Really, nothing else could happen. Nothing else. That's how I see it, and that is what could happen. Or we could start ranging and stay within an accumulation. So since that is what is happening through each and every single macro, that makes every single macro common. And what makes the AM macro, the first macro, which is the 950 macro, very strong and usable, is the fact that there is the volatility injection from 930. So 930 macro opens up. I mean, 930 opens up, and the 950 macro is going to create some type of swing, and it's going to go through it just like it did today, or just like it did yesterday, or just like it did yesterday. It could, it could. Let me just mark it out. Give me a second. It could right before the macro at 949. That's good enough. With that low, it could shift. It could shift price. Really, nothing else is going to happen. So what's better to do is to work within that, to find a model that works starting from 930, that works at a very specific time instead of huge time frame that's like from 930 to 4 a.m. in the afternoon. So since we open up at 930 and have a volatility injection, study the macros, how they work, and just like I said, they don't do more than two things. study how that happens, how they do those two things, and use that model instead of trying to touch price pattern or specific move throughout the day, because that's going to eventually drain you out. Get your time frame smaller and study that time frame much more than you have ever studied another time frame. Know how that time frame moves and the signatures that it gives us when it shifts and when it wants to stay in accumulation and when it wants to do continuation models that we did, like we did today, and when it wants to do reversal models that we just did yesterday. So that would be, I think, is the key, because just the way you talked about it, going forward, if you just keep doing this, you're most likely going to get burned out. And that's going to backfire in a way that you don't want it to backfire. Hope that answers your question. Uh, if you're here, give me a thumbs up if you or say something in the chat if it if that if I did good enough. Otherwise, I'll try to go about it a bit more. Or if anyone else wants to ask me a question, I'll do so. My plan is for the weekend, since we're not going to be trading on Monday. I was thinking of going through each and every single trade, why I took it, how I managed the trade, what would have changed, what would have changed the trade idea and everything on Saturday or Sunday. Each trade that we took this week. That was my idea. If you guys want that, say something on the chat so that I'm going to be obligated to do it. Otherwise, that's it. For the week. I wish you guys a happy weekend. Wish you guys the best of weekends. Don't be a degenerate. Wish all of you good luck and good trading. Be safe. Mhm.